Thank you so much. You may be seated. Welcome to tonight's dinner. I would like to welcome my husband, Pierre Charles, up to the mic. He actually arranged the anthem that I just performed, and I would like to let him say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister and his wife, Chancellor and his wife. Thank you for having us and welcoming us into your beautiful country. This is such a treat to be celebrating UGF with all of you tonight. Meredith, it is Valentine's Day, and it's my gift that I get to receive from her is just watching her bring the violin to life. And we wanted to share our gifts with you. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Pierre Charles, and we live in Los Angeles, California, and I work as a composer for film and television shows. And I wanted to sort of reimagine your national anthem in the style of a film score. And when I was working and writing this arrangement, when I work, I kind of think in concepts and in themes and characters. And when I think about Guyana, I really think about the concept of love. Not only is my personal life shared with a gift of Guyana, which is the Ramsay family, Dr. Colin Ramsay, who is a member of the UGF board, and I'm married to his daughter. Love is a part of my personal life, and Guyana really, to me, just represents the concept of love. So I wanted this score, which is the arrangement, to sort of sound like a love song. So I used the strings and cello, and then showcased Meredith. And I just wanted to thank you guys again for having us and welcoming us, and enjoy the evening, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Good job, baby.
I think we should give Meredith and Pierre another hand. Round of applause. Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening and happy Valentine's night to all of you. Special guests, on behalf of the board and members of the University of Guyana Foundation, I greet you especially on this night of love. I welcome you and extend a special welcome to you, Prime Minister and Mrs. Phillips, to you, our host, Mr. Kumal, Samaroo and his wife, to my esteemed friend and now newbie, Chancellor of the University of Guyana, Sir Ronald, and Lady Sarah. Of course, welcome must go also to my esteemed friend, Vice Chancellor, Professor Paloma Mohamed. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we arrived at this particular juncture with a group of people who displayed love for the university. And I must honor the person who carved out the theme of this particular event. None other than our esteemed trustee, and we call him now Loverboy, Colin Ramsay. He was the one at the board meeting who said that our theme for tonight should be falling in love with UG all over again. And here we are falling in love with UG. But more seriously, I think that we have a situation in Guyana and the university where higher education is becoming most important. The development of human resources to be fit for purpose for this economy that we hope would continue to grow and continue to be one that distributes the wealth equitably. And it is our research, our innovation, and our ability to look at the community as a whole and to create the problems, solve the problems that we confront. Tonight, we aren't just celebrating romance. We are celebrating love for learning and a commitment to the future of Guyana. Your presence here demonstrates a deep, heartfelt investment in the transformative work of the University of Guyana and for the foundation that supports this work. And indeed, we look forward to your continued support for our venture, which is really an investment in the future of Guyana. We have tried to formulate our mission around very appropriate themes. And the themes that we have ventured into supporting are those that match the goals of the University of Guyana. That is something presented to us by the Vice Chancellor when she was inaugurated, but it started before that as Vice Chancellor, called the 2040 Blueprint. I call it the strategic long-term plan for the future of the university and of Guyana. And that is why this tonight is a celebration of what we hope to do. Because we, 4 years ago, could not have conceived that tonight we would be gathered in love in our numbers. And I want to thank you all for coming out and continuing to support not only the university, but the mission of this foundation for the university. I just want to say two things. One, it has been a pleasure to see the university grow over the last 5 years. And it grew under the dynamism of a Vice Chancellor who had no compunction of taking chances. And in fact, I can narrate a series of things, but I wouldn't. But they all helped us to understand that if we do not continue to invest in education, we will not necessarily be able to advance Guyana in its equitable forms and transformative forms. So I give you two examples, and I could give you many more. The University of Guyana Foundation has been coordinating events throughout the diaspora, in the UK, in the USA, in Canada, and to a less extent in the Caribbean. That is our newest associate group. But what I want to say is that everywhere we go, we meet alumni of the university at the highest level. The controller of finance in Los Angeles is one of the first graduates, or he graduated in 1967 in the first graduating class. We go to New York and we find that the leading specialist for Pfizer was a graduate of the University of Guyana, for which we gave him an honorary doctorate. I say that Vidya Rupchan is one of those persons that saved the world. If we experience COVID again, we know that we have to salute an alumni of the University of Guyana. And then one more. I was present when the Vice Chancellor supported 3 young university students from the Faculty of Computer Science. It's not the faculty, from the Department of Computer Science. And they wanted assistance to enter a competition, an AI competition. They didn't have the funds, but the Vice Chancellor took a chance. She thought she loaned them the funds, or they thought she loaned them the funds. But lo and behold, 3 months after we were celebrating the victory of those 3 students and their lecturers having won the Webby Prize for Artificial Intelligence for anchoring. I say this only to demonstrate that tonight we are here because we think such an investment, no matter how small, $10, $50, $100, in any currency, even Guyana currency, would be welcomed. And therefore, I urge you to look out for the university, help the foundation to support the university, and help us to help Guyana to be the excellent country we think it could be in the future. I want to thank you again. Happy Valentine's Day.
This poem, aptly entitled Ode to UG, was written by Professor Colin Ramsay, a fellow UG Foundation board member. Now, Colin would be the first to admit that he is not a poet. And indeed, this is his very first attempt at poetry. I am not a poet either, so we ask for your kind indulgence. Dear UG, it's hard to believe you just turned 63. You're still bright, beautiful, and as happy as can be. We love and admire you for one big reason, your resilience across so many rainy and dry seasons. In 2021, you and Council gave birth to us. The Board of Trustees volunteered without a fuss. George, Eddie, Compton, Nigel, Fidel, who? Chandra, Gabe, Colin, Paloma, and a princess too. We welcome Raymond, Ralph, and Loreen to the fold, plus 6 distinguished honorary patrons to behold. Eddie, your chair, said, we must incorporate. We face risks and liabilities if we wait. With Chandra's help, we fixed all your flaws. We got articles of incorporation and wrote new bylaws. Thinking of our humble birth makes us sad because we miss our brother George and Uncle Yesu Prasad. Fundraising is a major challenge that we face, so we must coordinate with organizations like PACE. You showed us your enticing Blueprint 2040 plan. We promised you 60 million, and we will meet that demand. Now 4 grand challenges will be our test, but that's no problem. UGF deserves the best. Create a culture of philanthropy, Nigel said, and tax-deductible contributions, Colin pled. Compton was assigned to engage the Minister of Finance. With his diplomatic skills, our team stood a good chance. Then Gabe and Fidel proposed a creative solution that didn't conflict with our group's constitution. 6,000 bottles of 60th anniversary rum for sale? DDL knew that this project would entail. Kamal stepped in and supported the deal. It was reassuring to see his hands at the wheel. While George and Fidel worked on an investment portfolio in Guyana, their choices were relatively low. Since then, we've built UGF from the ground up, but we still need endowments to fill our cup. Appreciation to Mr. Parmesar for his pro bono audits, which assured UGF of its donors' plaudits. And thanks to Jerry for his volunteer bookkeeping, as he is the accountant we didn't know we were seeking. Blessed with support from such friends and alumni, we're bursting with excitement. Our time is nigh. Thursday's festivities at Tain were a cultural tapestry. The Chancellor's installation had splendid pomp and pageantry. Thanks to Yolaski for her patience, dedication, and purpose. and to Sumati and the host committee for volunteering to help us. After many Zoom meetings that were often too witty, they delivered a gathering that befit our university. To the memory of George and Yesu, we take a toast at this gala and global gathering that we host. Now we're falling in love with UG all over again. Though we bring it no golden chain, now at this gala, in a space where lovers opine, I ask, UG, oh UG, will you be our Valentine?
So I'd like to recognize the head table, the Honorable Prime Minister and Mrs. Phillips, the Director of DDL, the Executive Director of DDL, Kamal Samaroo and his wife. Of course, our newly minted Chancellor, Sir Ronald, and his wife, Lady Susan. I'd like to recognize the Pro-Chancellor somewhere in the room. Of course, the immediate past Chancellor, Professor Greene and Mrs. Greene. To guest CCH Pounder, to whom we gave an honorary degree some years ago. She's back here with us. And Frank. Frank is an employee. Just before I spread rumors tonight is Valentine's night, that she's here with a date. So just so you know, I'd like to, of course, recognize Loreen. That was beautifully done. And definitely, that man had to be Meredith's father. He has artistic ability, Professor Ramsay. There are many people in the room, Meredith, of course, and Pierre. They are celebrating their first Valentine with us. They did not have a honeymoon, and we are determined that they are going to have some opportunity this week while they're here to go some places in Guyana and to have their honeymoon, because she was performing in Paris when they got married. So we are definitely going to make sure that you get a honeymoon now. To all other persons, we have some people here who are visiting from other universities who would have come to wish our new Chancellor the very best and to celebrate with him. We'd like to acknowledge those persons. We have sponsors in the house. We have persons who are supporting us, and I see Her Excellency Sharon Rukchan Edwards, George's, I don't want to say the word widow, but George's other half. He's always going to be with us. Sharon, thank you for being here. And I think I see Minister Unij. Is that Minister? Okay. No glasses, sorry. Minister Unij and all others sitting there. Karen. Everybody who's in the room, Clifford and his wife, of course, several people. I'd like to say a special hello. And we're very thankful that Professor Claudia is with us. She used to be the Vice Chancellor, well, the President of the University in Los Angeles, and an international diplomat. She's not been well since she's been here, so glad you could make it out this evening. Former Chancellor, Professor Ian Harris and his wife Yvette also here. So we have 3 chancellors in the room and many, many people. Now, Saint Valentine, most people do not know, was actually martyred because he was continued to marry men, soldiers, against the will of the government at the time, wherever that was, 500 BC or something like that. They said that men who were in the army, right, Brigadier, should not get married. And of course, you know what would happen with you if that would have been. Right? So lucky for Mr. Saint Valentine. No, but seriously, they forbid marriages of men who were in the army, and he said, no, this is ridiculous. We have to, they deserve to be, married, and he would do it in secret, and so he got into trouble. A lot of people forget about that. They don't know that part. But this is a very important part of the legacy that we celebrate. And in standing in this room, I feel very, I guess, nostalgic in a certain sense, but also fairly sad, because this is the room that Uncle Yesu, Dr. Yesu Prasad, did so much, so much for me as a human being, as well as for the university. His work with the UG Foundation, which he did not live to see finish, is an important part of why we're here this evening. And I'd like to pay homage to that. And in doing so, also pay homage to George Edwards, also, whose work was very important in setting the foundation up. Dr. Yesu Prasad had started a foundation for the 30th anniversary in the name of Dr. Chedi Jagan, because he was asked to do so. And from that work, he gave us the Chedi Jagan Lecture Theatre at the university. Many people see it, they don't know how it got there. And when we were trying to put the foundation together, he was one of the people who sat with me for many, 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 many hours, and especially during COVID, when he felt like nobody was taking him on to do things. He would call me and say, "Child, I want to talk to you." And 3 hours later, we were talking about all kinds of things. But he invested in me so much about the history of this country, the history of this company, but also how foundations work and how they were supposed to work. And so we are delighted that his protege, who he loved as a son, Dr. Kamal Samaroo, is with us tonight and is our host. We thank you, we feel his presence, and we know that you will continue to do his work. You've heard about the rum, yes? And since I've gotten into a lot of trouble about UG being a dry campus, we don't have a liquor license, etc., we'll just say thank you. It wasn't me, it was the foundation, it was Gate Kunji somewhere around, whose idea it was, right? He's in the back with his wife, Malini. This university does many things, and I'd like to just give you a few examples really quickly of how philanthropy touches the lives of people in ways that we never consider. I was either lucky or unlucky to have been caught in Hurricane Melissa. I had been there for a conference for CXC and was one of the few people who was there ahead of a set of people, because I was coming from Houston. I was coming from something at Exxon. And so I got there a day early, before other people knew there was going to be a storm. It was going to hit Montego Bay. And so I was there, everybody else didn't come. But what happened in that storm, I'm of course alive and very well. Many people are not. When I came back to Guyana, I felt so deeply about this. I reached out to others and said, we have to do something for people in Jamaica, right? That seemed like the most logical thing to do. And then I got a call one day from one of our medical students, who is a Jamaican student. And he said to me, "Professor Mohamed, we have X number of Jamaican students at UG. Can you help us, because our families cannot send money for us to have food anymore? They cannot pay our tuition anymore. We can't even reach some of them anymore." The registrar is behind there. He was with me in that meeting. And we said immediately, we will waive your tuition fees. There are about 11 students. We had to pay for their rent. We got together money from a fundraiser that we've done on campus, and we paid their rents for them for 6 months. We gave them money for food. Christmas time, we had to give them hampers. We paid for their telephone calls, and we tracked their family down through other contacts we had on the ground. So philanthropy is not only for Guyanese students. This is for any student who is at the University of Guyana, and in ways that you never thought that you would need to help. So all of those who bought raffle tickets, bingo tickets, sent us money to do various things, these are some of the things that happen. But there's a higher calling. Our Chancellor and the President yesterday spoke about the importance of research at the university as an an imperative for national development. And I wanted to say that one of the things that we don't celebrate enough, I know people were asking, looking stunned, you know, with regard to the 3 young men from Free and Perfect who beat 150 universities, including Harvard University and Johns Hopkins, to win. That was 3 years ago. But just 6 months ago, in this country, for the first time, 23 new species known to man were sequenced in our DNA labs at the university for the first time in the history of this country. And this was, yes. But Exxon is here. The other part of the story is that Exxon gave us those labs just about 3 months before that exposition went in. And from that lab, for the first time, we didn't have to send our samples out to another university to get them back 2 years later, to have to, you know, so this was very important, and they've done many, many things. So the team from Exxon, I want to say thank you. This is how philanthropy impacts life at a different level. We also have yes, you could give them a clap. They deserve it. They've been a wonderful partner to the university. We also, a couple of days ago, got a jubilant note from our football team saying that they just won. And this is something, the sports is a big thing. Our student presidents have been on our case about this for a long time. Satar and Amina Gafur gifted us a multi-purpose auditorium, which is deliberately kept open because we wanted to have sports there, we wanted to have other things there. And the effect of that, just about 3 or 4 days ago, MODEC had an inter-college football competition, and UG actually won that. We didn't have a team for many years. So I just want to say to you that philanthropy works on many, many, many levels. Many things happen, many things that we don't recognize need support. And you will hear over and over again that, of course, we have free tuition. And everybody thinks that state-funded tuition means that everything has to be free, right? But the output of the university is not only for the public sector, it's not only for the government. A large part of it is for the private sector. And alumni get an opportunity. Many of our alumni are across the world. And so I really, really want to join with the persons in this room to say thank you for spending your money to come here this night from overseas. All of those, I think there are 30 people who came from overseas with their own funds. Those of you who have come to this event, I want to say thank you. Those of you who couldn't come but sponsored other people, I want to say thank you. And those of you who have been supporting the university for many, 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 many years, I want to say thank you. This foundation is only 4 years old, only 4 years old, and they've done a tremendous lot, but they can do more. Free tuition is free tuition. We still have students who need to come from somewhere and to have a place to stay. They still need equipment. They still need to go overseas for exposure. They still need medical assistance sometimes. So there's a lot. But that's not the only level that we need to be functioning at. The level of making sure that our research resources are elevated, the level of ensuring that every part of the university has the correct labs and the right numbers. You would have heard that our numbers have grown, ballooned, 16,000 and above. And you would have heard that we also have campuses now all across the country where we try to indicate that our 1 graduate per household, we try to live that first aspirational goal of 4. So I stand here as a child who could not have stood here if there was not free education back in the day when I went to school. I was bright, but my father had left home, and my mother had 4 children to raise. And so I cannot say how deeply grateful I am to see state-funded education return, because this is going to be an opportunity for so many people who would have been like me, and I'm sure there are many of us in the room. But that alone is not going to be enough. There is more that needs to be done, And so we ask you, not tonight, and it's not only about money. If you have a connection, if you have a network, if you have something that you can help with, we ask you to continue helping, connecting, supporting what is the greatest gift other than love in the world. And that is to give a person a good, sound education. God bless you, and much love to you all.
Good evening. Prime Minister and your dear wife, Chancellor and Mrs. Sanders, Vice Chancellor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you greetings from the DDL group of companies and from the overwhelming number of university graduates, University of Guyana graduates, who make up the outstanding management and leadership team of DDL. The University of Guyana Special Edition rum was blended by a University of Guyana graduate who joined us 32 years ago. And the late Dr. Isu Prasad, who recognized the value of education and who had committed significant resources to support the university. I stand here today on the foundation that he has laid. I also want to, in greeting you and welcoming you to this building, used to be the head office of DDL way back in 1988. And after we moved the head office to Diamond, and it happened because in 1992, post-election riot, life was going on as normal in Diamond, but nobody could come to this building to work. So we decided to move everything. Anyhow, the opportunity presented itself to convert this building into a World Trade Center. We are one of 310 World Trade Centers around the world. The World Trade Center Georgetown is the first, and up to this point, the only one in the CARICOM. I believe a second one is being built in Suriname. Now, the World Trade Center is here to help Guyanese entrepreneurs, micro, small, medium, to access global market through the network of World Trade Centers. And Mr. Wesley Curtin is the executive director, and he's been having a lot of activities here to support Guyanese businesses. And I'm aware that I'm between dinner and you right now, but I want to say one thing. This year, 2026, will mark 50 years since DDL became a locally owned company. And it was managed by a local team that created one of the most vibrant and regionally recognized public company that did pioneering work in premiumizing rums around the world. And I'm delighted to have been part of that process. Enjoy tonight. Thank you very much.
Check, check. Is me Torn Fatak? Wow, what a beautiful crowd. We spent a lot of time, I mean, there's a really large team that worked on this, but there was a lot of planning that went into this evening, and it's finally happening. And I've been waiting to plate dinner for a long time, so we're gonna get started, but I just wanna spend a couple minutes. A lot of people are surprised when they hear that I wasn't born in Guyana. I get messages all the time, "Chef, I'm in Guyana, where can we try your food, or can we meet for a coffee?" And I say, I don't live here, right? But I spend so much time here. I believe it's the way that I represent the country everywhere I go, whether that's cooking pepper pot in Pakistan, you know, or cooking 7 curry at the Rosewood Hotel in San Miguel, Mexico, or if anyone saw cooking for a Guyanese wedding in Sintra, Portugal, at the Ritz-Carlton. I traveled the world. I normally have a Guyana flag on my collar, and although I wasn't born here, I really represent it. The biggest infusion of Guyanese culture into my life was from my grandmother. Growing up, she taught me to speak Guyanese. She would tell me, "Your navel like a ping pong table." And she would tell me, "Your mouth like a water spout." And most of the things that came out of her mouth were, "You want me coffee?" I'm serious, you know, this was my dad's mother. I was fortunate enough to spend more time with her than my mom's mom. And we traveled a lot to Mahaica, so I grew up swimming in the black water in Mahaica Creek, you know. Mom was born in Enmore as well, and I have a lot of fond memories growing up. But not to take up too much time, it's really, really an honor and privilege to come back here to Guyana with whatever skill set I have and invest it here. You know, I've been coming here and doing a lot of work. And also to be in a room with a whole set of like-minded people who are committed to building a better future for Guyana with the University of Guyana, like shaping the minds of the future. That's deeply personal to me. Education is very, very important, so I'm really honored to be here, and I'm committed to assisting any way that I can going forward, because at the end of the day, everybody gotta eat, right? So we're doing 3 courses today. Guyana is infused into each of the 3 courses. The first course is inspired by my travels through India. My great-grandfather was born in Kashmir, India. My dad has done all the tracing. So we have local fruits in that first one, but I don't want to bore you with all the ingredients. Everything's on the card. It is a party in your mouth. Jat food in India is spicy, crunchy, salty. There's usually 1-2 piece aloo, and it's really, really flavorful. The second course, I take Kazrip, that fundamental Amerindian ingredient preservative, bitter cassava, reduced, strained, caramelized, and I make a barbecue sauce. It's also located in my cookbook, Mad Love. That's a shameless plug. And we're glazing our proteins, whether it's the chicken or the snook or the tofu for my vegetarian mother. The third roll, tennis roll cheesecake. I did this in collaboration with Maggie's. Also, I have to give a shout out to Maggie's for hosting me the last few days. And Mr. Pearson, hates when I call him Mr. Pearson, but he's made my life so easy. When I come here, I need a kitchen to cook out of. So with no further ado, we are going to get started on that first course. If anybody wants to talk to me throughout the night, or if you want to come wash some wares at the back, you know where to find me. So thank you again for the honor and privilege. Mad love, yeah.
So I think when I look at the positivity of what is happening, I believe that there's so much more for the future that we can all look forward to. But using education as a platform to reignite a new paradigm shift for tomorrow, for the younger generation, that we can inspire them to achieve the heights that we were all running away outside to achieve. And now that we see that we have our own university and we are putting this together, and now with the new Chancellor and all of the other changes that are happening, I think it's a great thing. I was asked, what is important too that I recognize here tonight? That the compassion that has been shown in memory, in remembering those who have served. And I think this is important, that we do not forget those who have sacrificed their lives and who have made a contribution that others have benefited. And so I was asked to read this basically as a form of eulogy to a gentleman that has served the university. And this is from the University of Guyana Foundation, Gala, and Global Gathering, the Award of Excellence, February 14, 2026. And it is in remembrance of George Alexander Edwards, the esteemed colleague and friends of many of the alumni and the professors and those who have served the University of Guyana. The Board and Associates of the University of Guyana Foundation remember George Alexander Edwards, a valued colleague and founding trustee of the foundation. As finance coordinator, he had responsibility for establishing the financial infrastructure, procedures, and in particular, the financial guidelines that have ensured a solid basis of transparency for the foundation's operations. It will remain a part of its enduring legacy. George Edwards was always willing to share his knowledge as a mentor and as a friend. He was highly regarded as a lecturer at UG in finance and banking. He enthusiastically performed the role as chair of the UGF event to launch the special Demerara Distilleries Limited, DDL, for which we have Koma this evening. Production of UG's 60th anniversary rum in 2023, where his business acumen, wit, and sense of humor were on full display. He was recognized as being among those exceptional alumni of the University of Guyana with a passion of giving back to his alma mater and promoting its global image. Indeed, George and his wife, Sharon, were among the very first donors to the UGF Fund in Guyana. He was above all, dependable, unflappable, constructive in his interventions, respectful of his views of others, and always displayed a generosity of spirit. He was indeed an honorable man. His memory will remain indelibly in our thoughts and our hearts for all these qualities and more. This posthumous award of excellence to George Alexander Edwards is in recognition of his outstanding contribution to the University of Guyana Foundation. This by the Honorable Edward Greene, Chair, University of Guyana Foundation. Thank you all very much. Thank you all.
A special bottle of the 60th anniversary rum.
Thank you very much. I did not expect this. Thank you. This is a big surprise.
Tonight, hello everyone, I'm CCH Pounder, and I get to give a really uplifting award. Let me tell you about this. Award is presented to Miss Lolaski Jervis for exceptional and unwavering service. As Secretary to the University of Guyana Foundation, Ms. Jervis has served as the backbone of the foundation, demonstrating remarkable commitment and strategic insight. As Secretary, she has not only managed the intricate administrative needs of the Board of Trustees, but demonstrated both technical and diplomatic skills in dealing with all levels of the foundation's membership. These include accurate and timely reports of quarterly meetings of the board and associate groups in the USA, UK, the Caribbean, and Canada, coordinating and demonstrating and distributing the UGF quarterly newsletter, and dealing with the increasing volume of correspondence to a broadening array of corporate partners, UG alumni, and friends. Ms. Jervis has played a pivotal role in the operational success of the foundation since its inception in 2021. Nowhere has her growing stature been more highly recognized than in her recent role as chair of the host committee for the Gala and Global Gathering 2026. She has been a primary catalyst for realizing the theme of UGF's marquee gala on this Valentine's night, falling in love with UG all over again. In recognition of her selfless dedication to the sustainable development of the University of Guyana Foundation, we honor Miss Yolaski Jervis for her outstanding service. Can I show you this? Have you got room for one more? Great, you're welcome. And then may I give this information to you that the artist is Elodie Cage Smith from the School of Arts, the Faculty of Education and Humanities, and she's sitting at their table. Yes. Yes, great, absolutely. I think you. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Now, you did see 3 of our honorary patrons. One who should have been here tonight hosting the table came down with the flu. Mr. Floyd Haynes could not be here. And 2, for business reasons, Mr. Ken Singh, a shipping magnate in Canada, could not be here because he is in Asia on business. And Mr. Chris Chunilal, from the UK, a notable scientist who is also an honorary patron, had other duties in Europe. So those are our 6 patrons, and we want to say how much we appreciate them giving their time, their presence, and prestige to the foundation. So let's give our honorary patrons. But now really I would like to ask the board, members of the board, trustees, if they could please come. It will take a minute if they walk quickly. So please. Now the 4 gentlemen that flank me are the inaugural trustees of the board. And I can assure you it was my pleasure to really work with them. And the Vice Chancellor, as the person who initiated the foundation and council, work with them to build the foundation to what it has become tonight. Look at this. And we are hoping that we could be recognized with your continued support, because tonight we are overwhelmed by your support, that you paid to come here, that you dressed to come here, and that you engaged in conversations. To me, filled us with pride that we could say we have friends and we can move forward and upward. So thanks to these gentlemen, as well as to the Vice Chancellor. And now this is a new member of the board, and we really appreciate your coming, all of us. I want, however, to call on the Chancellor for another task. He has already accepted our invitation to be an ex-officio member, but we want, in the presence of all of you, for him to be recognized as a member of the board. Chancellor, would you join us, please? Please, Chancellor. We have heard your advocacy, and we will depend on your involvement, active involvement. And one of the first things that we are going to co-opt you to do, as we did with Professor Compton, Ambassador Compton Board, is to ask you to be one of the lobbyists for our tax-free concessions from the government. But before we do all of that, I also want to recognize not a board member, but an outstanding member of our University of Guyana, USA Associates. And he has played such a significant role that I think that we have to ask him to join us here, Dr. Ret'd Insinali. Please. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming, and so on. Now, I don't know, Chancellor, if you would want to grace us with any words that you...
Well, a few short things.
Sure, okay.
I can come.
Go right
Yes.
ahead.
First of all, I want to thank all of you and each of you for all that you have done to make this foundation possible and to make its assistance to the University of Guyana possible over the time, the short 4 years that you've been in existence. In 4 years, to do what you've done, including your incorporation, and to have audited books, which very important, audited books. Audited books say that you're people of integrity, that there are no black holes anywhere, that there's no corruption, there's full transparency, and everything is accounted for. Audited books are critically important. Now, I want to say this thing about my commitment to university. When I was growing up, well, let me start further than that. If you look at my curriculum vitae anywhere, in published documents, in Wikipedia, anywhere, you will find it lists that I have 2 knighthoods. So I've become Sir twice. And I have the Order of Australia, and I have the Order of Ukraine, given to me by President Zelensky, because I happened to stand up against Russian aggression to a smaller state. Similar language that I used in resisting Venezuelan aggression against Guyana, and for the same reasons. That may tell you some things about me, but I'll tell you what it does not tell you, and this is what is important. Why is education important to me? And why would I be committed to the role of Chancellor of the University of Guyana? Some of you may not like the use of the words that I'm about to use, but they're factual. I was born in a nigger yard. A nigger yard. Many of you may not know what a nigger yard is, but the nigger yard in which I was born is not far from this place. 2 streets down. The address was 223 Camp Street, and it was a nigger yard. It was a yard of little logie houses, which were once occupied by slaves. The place in which I was born had no running water and no electricity. We had latrines at the back of the yard, holes in the ground, galvanized around them for your privacy. We had slabs of concrete, again with galvanized, on which we bathed. And the shower came from a vat in the yard, which fed into each of these showers. And everybody in that yard would, in the mornings, pick up their bar of soap and their towel. They go to shower. No electricity. I was the youngest of 5 children. My brother, who won a government county scholarship here in what was then British Guyana, and went to Queen's College, had his picture on the front page of the newspaper. First time that my family became a celebrity. But he went to Queen's College with a scholarship, not philanthropy. He had to earn it. In our day, there was no Guyana university to go to. We wanted to go to university, it was abroad. So we had to earn the scholarships. And each of us did that on the basis that the one who got the scholarship first and went off and got his degree would look after the other and the other and the other. I was fortunate. I was the last of them and the greatest beneficiary. But had I, in those days, there was no University of Guyana to go to. There was no free education. You either got education by scholarships or if you had an uncle who cared. Other than that, that was the story. But education should have been my right. I should not have had to work for it as hard as I did. I went to Boston. My first job in Boston, I was a security guard in a supermarket in the dead of winter. I'd like any of you to try that. It is the coldest place on earth as far as I am concerned. I lasted 1 hour. 1 hour before I gave up in desperation. Now, there was at no time that I was in a university and did not work. I had to work or I would never have finished. But I tell you that today, the opportunities available to people in Guyana are greater than they have ever been. For some of the people in this room who are, I'm probably older than everybody else here. Yeah, I think so. I'm 78 years old now. I don't know if anybody else is close to that age who is of this place. I know, but I am talking about Guyana, not the United States. Now, I am talking about Guyana at a time when life was truly difficult. Today, younger people have greater opportunities. This country is on the cusp of taking off. My fear is it'll take off so fast it'll leave the rest of the Caribbean behind. And that is a message I've been delivering to people throughout the region. Guyana is gearing for a future. The university has to play a role in that future. Now, I said yesterday, when I was installed as Chancellor, that free education is invaluable. Maybe free, but there's a value to it. And the value is that you have got something other people were denied, so therefore make something of it. And what is it that must make of it? We have a country, the old saying, we have a country, a destiny to build, a country to build. Well, we do, never at any time more than now. And if we are to do that, the university has to play a role. It has to produce the people that we need to ensure that this oil and gas industry and the possibilities for manufacturing and all of that, agro-processing that will come with it, those jobs from the top to the bottom must be occupied by our own people. We cannot continue to import labor from outside. While we are in a partnership with those companies, we welcome them here. They're playing a valuable role. This is a partnership that we must honor, but the time must come when Guyanese can look to the top of industry in this country and recognize themselves. If not, the division will be so great that something else might happen. Now, I say all of that to say that the role you can play in this university is to help us with the resources we need. It is more than the government alone can do. And I said this yesterday too. The private sector benefits from the people the university produces. It can't be sufficient that you pay their salaries alone. It must be that you must help the university to produce the people you need. So, very early in my tenure, I will be turning to the private sector in this country and people beyond it. And when I start to look beyond it, I will be looking to you, the Guyana Foundation, for help in doing that. But I want, once again, to thank you all for all that you've done and to assure you of my own partnership with you as the Chancellor of the University as we take this joint effort forward to greater success. So thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. Now, here we have Dave Punji, Colin Ramsay, Loreen McLeod Simon, myself, yourself, Nigel Harris, former Chancellor, Fidel Hines, our esteemed Professor Paloma Mohamed, and Ambassador Dr. Riadahi. We thank you all. Okay.
Can I make one statement with Gardner Charles from a Chancellor? I want us to acknowledge Eddie Greene. Chancellor Eddie Greene. This would not have been possible with the tremendous work he has done over the last so many years. And I think we really know that he will continue to do some of what he did. But I have admired the energy, the commitment, and the talent that he's given to the creation of this foundation and its sustenance. And I want us to recognize him.
And yes, but I would quickly add that I appreciate his love, his decency, his honesty. I really love his decency, his honesty.
Now, we are going to have a final item before the acknowledgement. And we have been asked by a few people to make announcements of some pledged scholarships to the foundation. And I think it's fitting that we now acknowledge those persons. I want to call, first of all, on CCH Founder to talk just briefly and present her scholarship.
I can barely take credit on this scholarship because when I was given my second PhD, which happens to be from the University of Guyana, my friends were so impressed and tickled that they did a susu, got a pot, and they gave to the university a scholarship in my name. And it will now start in 2026. And it is, I know that I'm an arts and humanities person, but one of the things is that I always found that the very last year of university was always the difficult ones. It was the ones where you were willing to kind of go, I'm just going to go work for my father. They've given me enough money. They can't afford it. And it was that last year that was the crawl to finish. And I was one of those students that was willing to give it up because I thought my parents had enough other children to take care of. And my mother said, oh no, don't worry, we're going to pay for this, don't worry. Well, they took out loans that they never paid, and 20 years later I discovered that I had a big university bill. Unfortunately, I had worked long enough to pay for it. But this is geared to that person who is struggling to finish. And I wish whoever's first the best of luck. Thank you so much.
While Nigel comes, we will announce And I want to associate the late George Edwards, because the University of Guyana Foundation, the board has agreed that UGF will award a scholarship in finance and business to a student starting in 2026-27 doing research in that area. And we want to say thanks to Sharon for agreeing that we could make this announcement and that we could deliver that award 26-27 to a graduate student in finance and business. So let us see. Nigel. While Nigel comes to, we had another award from New Haven Merchant Bank, and it would have been announced by the founding manager of the bank, Floyd Haynes. He has agreed that the firm will also give two postgraduate scholarships beginning 26-27 to an outstanding student pursuing postgraduate work in the area of business. So thanks to New Haven Merchant Bank for that pledge. And now over to you, Nigel.
And he asked me to. As a Guyanese who has spent nearly all his life after I finished school abroad, there's always been an obligation to give back in some way. And as part of my association with the University of Guyana, although we are of modest means, my wife and I wanted to find a way to give back. And so what happened is there was a University of Guyana Foundation, and what I thought I'd do and mention ways in which you can give was that my grandmother in 1947 and subsequent helped build what was a village in Guyana called Paramakatoy, and she started the school in Paramakatoy. Nobody spoke English, everybody was Patamona and so on, but she went with the Pilgrim Holiness missionaries, and she started the school, they started the church and so on. So we decided that we would give a scholarship and a half to UG. Fortunately, their fees are not what they are in the US. And in the name of my grandmother, Ethel Crew. And so for the last number of years, we've been giving an Ethel Crew scholarship to a student from Paramakatoy. And, you know, it's really been heartwarming. One of them at least has gone back to Paramakatoy's teaching, and in fact, working on a dictionary, a Patamona dictionary. And I'm hoping this is just one example of many ways in which one can give to the foundation, but direct some of that money for something that you might want. And if you're in America, you can get a tax deduction as a result. So there it is.
Good evening, everyone. Standing on the established protocols, I wish to, on behalf of the UG Foundation, express appreciation for a wonderful gala and global gathering. I have the unique advantage of witnessing the foundation progress from its germination stages after its approval by the Council in 2021 to its present tween stage. Indeed, it has been driven foremost by love for UG and a distinct commitment to efforts in support of our university. I say our university because I'm not only an alumna, but I am also a staff at the University of Guyana. And since I serve as secretary to the foundation, that means that I have quite an interesting nexus. So on behalf of the UG Foundation, I wish to express great appreciation to our gracious and serene host, Mr. Koma, Samaroo. It is indeed an honor to have you as host of our first gala on Guyana's soil. To Honorable Prime Minister, Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, Honorable Minister Unej Walron, and Honorable Sharon Rupchan Edwards, PS, thank you for coming to have your interest piqued into what the University of Guyana Foundation is all about. To our sponsors, New Haven Merchant Bank, Demerara Distillers Limited, The Hitching Post, Basilio Cobbs Associates, Atlas Cargo, and our supporters, ExxonMobil and Banks DIH Limited. And to our University of Guyana, we extend a great thank you. In the case of UG, I guess the relationship can be likened to that of a parent and a child, where the parent is obligated to provide for the child, and the child lovingly reciprocates with great support for the parent. Our Vice Chancellor has made that quite clear in the execution of this and other events. We also wish to express appreciation to all donors who could not attend but invested in one way or another, whether large or small, in this event. We're deeply grateful to Chef Dev, who flew all the way from Toronto to tantalize our palates tonight, and Meredith, the classical bae, who also traveled all the way from Los Angeles to scintillate our ears. Both have brought experiences to touch our hearts, our souls, and promote our falling in love with UG all over again. To the team here at the World Trade Center, thank you for your graciously accommodating manner. To the management and staff of Maggie's Catering, thank you for easing our headache with food preparation by doing backflips with Chef Dev. To suppliers like iMerch, Sonic Business Services, Quality Prints, Nandre's Designer Wear and Creations, Access 22 Band, and The Balance, we're immensely grateful to you for your patience and hand-holding through this exercise. To the diligent team at our Berbice campus who set the stage at a high level for these few days of activities, we love and appreciate you. To the ever-dynamic team members in the Office of the Vice Chancellor, whose efforts have been tremendous in making these gala activities, taking them, in fact, to an even higher trajectory, we extend deep thanks, particularly to the Offices of Philanthropy, Alumni, Civic Engagement, and the Department of Events, Conferences, and Communication. We must extend gratitude to our volunteers, including ushers, staff from the Facilities Maintenance Division, and those of you who have traveled over county and overseas to contribute to this activity. I'm nearly done. The persons on the management and planning committee for this gala are worth special mention. They include all board members of the University of Guyana Foundation. They co-opted support from dynamic people overseas and locally. The boots on the ground, as Colin says, which represents those of us here in Guyana. And Yes. And I must interject here that when the chair suggested at a board meeting that Miss Yolaski Jervis should be chair of the host committee, since she's a secretary and understands the foundation very well, I thought to myself, do they know what they're doing? But more importantly, do I know what I'm doing? But the support of so many persons were immense. And I just wish to name just a few, bear with me. Jai, Kirli, Melissa, Makeda, Karina, Roshana, Rawleen Mensa, Miss Valderine Hackett, I know you're somewhere here tonight, Mrs. Valerie Odell, and so many others. I am grateful because this opportunity is a very enriching experience, and that's an understatement. While the anonymous donor who provided the little tokens, the ones in the bags, the ones in the boxes were provided, of course, by the child, the University of Guyana. The ones in the boxes were provided by an anonymous donor, and so that person wishes to remain anonymous, but wishes to give a big shout out to Branders for the key ring. So if you want to learn more about Branders, you can feel free to inquire about the brochure. And speaking of brochures, we have also produced a commemorative Gala magazine. So our ushers tonight will ensure that you get a copy before you leave the room here. So it's commemorative. We want you to look and to see some of the work that the foundation has done. And then on the back cover, you can feel free to scan and donate. We will appreciate that a lot. The Konganaya group in Berbice reminded and showed us with their drumming on Thursday that the foundation is the heartbeat. So the UG Foundation will beat on for the University of Guyana. It's 13 board members, gentlemen, Edward Greene, the chair, Fidel Hines, Nigel Harris, Colin Ramsay, Compton Bourne, Gabriel Kunji, Ralph Basilio, Raymond Bakridi, and lovely ladies, Paloma Mohamed Martin, Chandrawati Prasad, Loreen Simon McLeod, and Somati Sairanji, 6 honorary patrons, CCH Pounder, Clifford, Rajkumar, Claudia, Mitchell-Kernan, Ken Singh, Floyd Haynes, and Christopher Tunilal, and pro bono treasurer Samuel Gulsaran. It's more than 30 associates in the USA, UK, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's tenacity, it's commitment, it's fierce determination. We will be ever grateful to you all and wish to make this pellucid. So with these words, we say thank you beyond measure to each and every one of you for your grace this evening. I'll now borrow from Colin's poem. Dear UG, it's hard to believe you just turned 63. You're still bright, beautiful, and happy as can be. Dear UG, we are falling in love with you all over again.
Find myself up at night, just to eat pressure. I don't wanna sleep no more, I don't wanna work no more. Tell me what you're waiting for, it's time to hit on the floor. I don't wanna sleep no more, I don't wanna work no more. I want to get in the heat, see me tripping down the street. All aboard, carnival afloat, time to rock this boat. Come and get in line, strictly party time. Carnival afloat, time to rock this boat. Come and get in line, strictly party time. I say, let me rock, let me rock, let me rock non-stop. Rock the boat, baby. Let me rock, let me rock, let me rock non-stop. Jumping once again, in the sun or rain, breathing nice and steady, and my body ready.